as a very attractive man. He was kind of active in the Unicamp culture of the 60s. That was found in that director of 67, 40, and 60s. Well, anyway, whenever it was. That was our king in spades. Absolutely in spades.
Nicola and Tim.
Probably signed your leave because she doesn't have to go to campus this year. She did it for like 3 years in a row. A president and moving on.
It's a 1-year gig.
Well, I'm sure they said that to her too.
I actually didn't think about it. You might leave it up there.
Okay, I'll leave it up there just in case.
I don't need it. I'll use it after.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because I don't really come on. My bit is later.
My name is Elizabeth Beckett, and I'm a member of this church. And I'm happy to be a member of this church. I want to welcome all of you to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. No matter who you are, or who you love, or where you are on your journey to faith and meaning, or truth and meaning, today you're a member of this congregation of gathered people, and you are welcome. I just want to give like a tiny word of, I don't know, like excuse really, to people who are coming to our church today for the very first time. You happen to have come to church on Canvas Sunday. Canvas Sunday is a Sunday where we encourage our members and congregants to make a pledge to the church. It's a very important Sunday, but I don't want you to go away with the impression that that's what we do every Sunday, because it isn't. It's just your luck that you came here on Canvas Sunday. Before we enter into a spirit of worship, I want to share with you the following announcements. The 6-minute memoir, Speed Storytelling for a Cause, celebrates its 10th anniversary this year with a lineup of 12 speakers on the theme of trials and tribulations. This event will be held live and on Zoom at our church on October 21st from 7:30 to 10. Tickets are $20 for the in-person events and $15 if you join by Zoom. I think that should be opposite. Anyway, it's not my decision. Buy yours today on the church website, especially if you want to be assured of a seat in the sanctuary. This event tends to be very popular, and the seats quickly are sold. So if you want to be here with everyone else in the sanctuary, you should get your tickets soon, and then you can always go on the website if you miss out. You know, they should do that with Taylor Swift. I'm not up on current culture. Proceeds for this event will be going to Body Brave, which is an organization that assists people who have disordered eating or eating disorders. The sign-up for the chalice groups have begun. There are 4 groups being offered, 2 in person on Tuesday at 10:30 and 7 p.m., and 2 on Zoom. Wednesday at 1 p.m. and Fridays at 10:30 p.m. For those of you who wish to sign up, you can do so by email at tim@uuhamilton.ca. The Ministerial Search Committee will be holding a series of cottage meetings during the month of October. These sessions are very important to the search process, and the information that is gathered at these little meetings will be very useful for discussions with our ministerial candidates. There will be 2 in person and 4 virtual. You can watch for the dates for these meetings in your all-church emails, which get to you on Thursday morning. A sign-up sheet will be available. The Zoomer and Boomer Coffee Social is coming up. It will be happening on October the 6th at 1:30 in Fellowship Hall. Our guest speaker will be talking about their outreach projects. For anyone over 50, you are welcome to join in an afternoon of fun and fellowship. And now I have an announcement, if I can find it, from the church executive. Jamie, I don't have that. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. Now here's the deal from the church executive. The church executive is tracking the increase in COVID-19 cases in Hamilton closely and discerning, that's what we do here, we discern, a course of action. Stay tuned for an update on plans for implementation of safety measures such as masking and suspension of refreshments after service if necessary. Our sanctuary does have seating for those who wish to maintain physical distancing, and mask wearing is always an option for anyone that comes to our church. If you have any questions, you can talk to Barb Wallace. He's right there. Chris McCoy, who is our church administrator, or Reverend Jamie. We arrive here from many singular rooms, walking over branching streets. We enlarge our own voices in common speaking and in singing. Our eyes reclaim remembered faces, and their voices stir the surrounding air. It is good to be with one another. And Jamie is going to help me light our 752 chalices. So today we are lighting 3 chalices. We are lighting, I don't know what happens to this. Today we are lighting our congregational chalice, our children's chalice, because the kids are staying with us today, and also our music chalice, because we are so blessed that this is Canvas Sunday, but it's also Choir Sunday, so give and you get. Would you join me in reciting our chalice lighting words? May this flame be our light of friendship and love. What a sad day yesterday was, as we remembered again and again the plight of Aboriginal families that were forced by the actions of our government, forced apart by actions of our government. The truth of this suffering is so hard to bear. Yet, that is the work we must do to achieve reconciliation.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. My name is Reverend Jamie Boyce, and I am so very lucky to serve this congregation as its interim minister. In that role, I journey with you, the congregation, through the process of discerning your next settled minister. It is a very exciting time indeed. You might notice that today we have a couple of wonderful things happening. Today we are building an altar of generosity. You'll find a table in the back of our room with a collection of stones. On these stones, you're invited to write a message of gratitude, a word that embodies something meaningful for you, and leave it at the table, and we are going to build an altar of generosity. At the end of the month, we will share the stones with each other in a ritual of generosity and interdependence. Nicola and Tim will be at the back table to help you out with that today. And there's some words of inspiration from our children and youth religious exploration program here on our dais to inspire you. Feel free to move about today, to stop by the table when the Spirit calls you, to experience the entire service as a moving meditation of community and celebration of generosity. We also have our activity cart here at the front, stocked with activities and supplies for people of all ages to enjoy during the service. In that spirit of generosity, welcoming, and hospitality, I invite you to greet your neighbors, to turn to each other, place your hand on your heart, and remind each other, I'm glad you're here. And if you're joining us online, I invite you to greet each other in the chat. Please rise for our first hymn. Please rise in body or spirit for our first hymn. 'Tis a gift to be simple, number 16 in the the gray hymnal, the gray hymnal. And the words will also appear behind me.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we want to be. And when we find ourselves in a place just right, we'll be in the garden of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, with knowledge and men we shan't be ashamed to turn, we are delight. Turning, we come round right.
Good morning. My name is Tim Versteeg. My pronouns are he, him, and it is my great joy to be the religious educator for the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. In our Time for All Ages today, we are going to tell the story of stone soup. Apropos, as a stone soup is being made as we speak in the kitchen for our gathering after the service. So this is an old folk tale from that great source of Wikipedia. It tells me it's European, Russian, Hungarian, a couple other countries were thrown in there, but that's where it comes from. A traveler, so
We're gonna get you a new one for Christmas.
yeah, or new batteries or something. Oh, there we go. Or are you guys doing it from back there? Okay, thanks, John. I'll give you the nod when I need the next one. They go pretty quick today. A traveler was sitting overlooking a valley and could see a small village below them. They had been journeying for a long time and were very hungry. As they entered the village, they went door to door asking if anyone might spare some food for a meal, but at each house their request was denied. When they reached the final home they asked instead to borrow a large pot, explaining that they were going to make stone soup. Thinking the travelers slightly mad, but harmless, the villager in the last house agreed to loan him a pot. The traveler took the pot to a nearby stream and filled it with water. Seeing all the river stones, they selected a particularly large and round one and dropped it in. Taking the pot of water back to the edge of the village, they built a fire and began to boil the water. And then one of the villagers, One of the villagers, leaning over a fence nearby, asked the traveler what they were doing. The traveler answered that they were making stone soup, which tastes wonderful and which they would be delighted to share with the villager, although it still needed a bit of garnish, which they were missing to improve the flavor. The villager, eager to enjoy a share of the soup, went back to his house and found half an onion he had saved from his supper the evening before. The traveler quickly added the small contribution to the soup, smelling the air eagerly as the onion began to flavor the broth. Okay. Another villager walked by. She also inquired about the pot, and the traveler again mentioned they were making stone soup, but it had not yet reached its full potential. She quickly returned with a single carrot. More and more villagers began walking by, each adding another ingredient, like potatoes, cabbages, peas, celery, tomatoes, sweet corn, salt, and pepper. As each bit of food was added to the pot, the villagers waited in anticipation for the soup to be ready, its deliciously fragrant aroma now filling the air. Finally, the stone, being inedible, was removed from the pot, the traveler explaining that he would need its magic another day. The delicious and nourishing pot of soup was poured into bowls for each of the villagers, and the community meal was greatly enjoyed by all. Oh, we're a little behind here. There's the soup. I knew there was a picture of soup up there somewhere. And that's our story for today.
Let's drop into a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer. And again, if you feel called, you're invited to our craft table today, or invited to our activity station to be present in our service this morning. I offer our words of meditation this morning reflecting on Orange Shirt Day. So I call upon this prayer to center us into a path of listening. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, eternal mystery, God of justice known by many names, today we arrive at the altar of truth and reconciliation and offer this prayer as we recommit our lives to the work of truth-telling, the work of restoration of stolen lands. May this prayer, this call of the breath, invite us to love the world with acts of justice and repair. May it open us to deeper listening so we can hear the truth, hear our responsibility, and be inspired to give our lives greater purpose, to love and care for humanity and creation. I offer these words from Richard Wagamese. True silence is more than just not talking. It is responding to that deep inner yearning I carry to feel myself alive, to exist beyond my thinking, to live beyond worry and frustration. True silence is calm being. True silence is appreciating the moment for the moment. Every breath a connection to my life force, my essence. It is the grandest music I have ever heard. Let us rest in silence this morning and listen deeply. May we be called to respond to our deep inner yearnings for love, peace, and justice. Amen, and blessed be. I have a number of joys and sorrows to share with the community this morning. The first is a death among us. I'm sad to share news of the death of Art Kuhn, who passed away on Tuesday. Art was a longtime member of this congregation and friend to many. The family will release plans to honor Art's life later this week. Today, we hold Art's memory close and offer our comfort to grieving friends and family. I have a joy and a sorrow, a bittersweet moment from Ginny Megan, who shares that Cartier, the future dog guide who has joined us faithfully on Sunday mornings, training to be a guide dog, has gone back to the headquarters for more formal training. And he's in the autism program, so that's really good news. He's going to be a great guide dog, but he'll be back for Thanksgiving. So if you want to see Cartier, you have to come back next week, because Cartier will be here to visit us again, and also back on Christmas. So there are good things to look forward to. We have a joy from Jeffrey Simmons. Welcome back, Jeffrey. It's good to see you. Jeffrey shares a rhyme with us this morning, so I'm going to read it as you wrote it. Humpty Dumpty stood in the hall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the Unitarian ladies and all the Unitarian men and all the Unitarian persons put Humpty back together again. Thank you all, with much love, Jeffrey. It's good to welcome back, Jeffrey. It's good to see you. And another joy, sorrow from Paul Hawkins. Paul shares, thank you to all who participated in the Labyrinth Walk to honor Roy's memory yesterday. Our family now needs thoughts for our nephew's wife, Yvette, who was diagnosed with cancer the same day as Roy 7 years ago. Hers has now spread throughout her body. She and her husband have 3 young daughters. Paul, we hold you and your family in our care. That is tragic and frightening and sad. I have one final sorrow to share from the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. We are holding Jacob Johns, Indigenous climate activist, artist, musician, father, and Unitarian Universalist in care this morning. Jacob was seriously wounded on the morning of Thursday, September 28th, during a peaceful protest in Tawa Territory. It's in New Mexico, and is currently in the ICU. This protest was in response to local plans to build a conquistador monument. Violence against Indigenous people has not stopped since colonialism began, and it continues to escalate, often without accountability, as the climate crisis unfolds. As relatives, friends, and allies, we are called to collective care for each other and this sacred planet. It is an honor and obligation to be co-strugglers. If you are deep in the struggle, please receive this message as deep witness and solidarity. If you have been comfortably numb, please receive this message and as an invitation to turn towards relationship with each other, with the environment, for the well-being of us all. Finally, a joy from Marion Sneed. A few weeks ago, I mentioned we were desperate to find a place for my grandson with fetal alcohol syndrome, a place we couldn't have imagined. It is so wonderful, has been found, and he is settled. I see this as a miracle. Thank you for your love and concern. And Marion, that is good news indeed. Thank you for sharing that joy with us today. I know there are joys and sorrows among us, too tender yet to share. We hold those in our hearts in the presence of beloved community.
My little helpers are passing out party things. Can I have one of those? Max? Thanks, Max. These. So you'll all get one soon. The rumor that our canvas theme, On a Roll, were on a roll, was inspired by my regular watching of Paw Patrol is overblown slightly. For those of you who do not have small children or grandchildren, you may not be familiar with the Canadian cartoon in which 6 mighty pups, and I'm not going to name them, take on various emergencies that arise in their community. They form a plan, and then their leader, Blaze, says, "Paw Patrol, we're on a roll." and off they go. There is no question in my mind that our congregation is indeed on a roll. The pandemic was an interesting time for all of us. We grieved losses and we celebrated successes, and we learned to care for each other from a distance. The leadership from our board and its committees and teams guided us through these times, and we used these times to enhance our building and hone our technical skills. We were on a roll. Last year, we actually met and slightly exceeded our Canvas goal under the incredible leadership of Mary Eve, who I saw came in here today. Hi, Mary. And this year, it would be wonderful to achieve our target of $300,000. Doing this would allow us to continue to employ our support service manager, our children's education person, Tim, and our minister. Our largest budget item is for salaries, a reflection of our reliance on professional guidance that has served us so well. We want to be in a position to offer a worthy salary to our new settled minister who will be coming at the end of the summer. Now, you have been provided with some noisemakers, which I thought it would be fun to use, in a little activity called Vote with Your Horn. Sort of thing. I was thinking there was this thing in the Bible where they broke down the walls of Jericho by blowing horns. Yes? So we're not asking you to do that. But what I want you to do, I'm going to mention an area of the church and how much it costs us to fund it. And if you think that that's a good idea, then blow your horn. So, first of all, we'll deal with worship and pastoral care. Comes in at $10,000. Ready? Don't get overenthusiastic. There's lots to come. This budget item also includes money we need to carry on worship services, which I know we're all very committed to. We have a line item in our budget, $4,800, which is money that we give for we used to fund activities for social justice and outreach, supporting such organizations outside our church and inside our church as Sacagawea Housing, Eva Rothwell, supporting the work of the Welcoming Congregation, Climate Action, and anti-racist work. Worth it? Another area that we spend money on, which I think is really important, is congregational engagement. This money pays for leadership development and communications, such as, I know, Eamon, I'm sorry about this, Eamon and Claire, for example, working in the back at our sound tech desk. The total of this cost is $18,000. Not a great idea for people who don't like a lot of noise. Anyway, then we get to essential expenditures. Okay, get your horns ready because these are the big ticket items. First of all, well, actually, I'm going to do second of all first. Second of all is our building operations and maintenance, which takes up 15% of our budget. That's about $60,000 that it costs us to maintain and build towards having this building. You love this, right? Okay, the final category, which takes up thank you, Mia, which takes up 59% of our budget, and that is the category of staff salaries and compensation. We want to have professional staff. It is important to our church, but it doesn't come free. So if you're willing to spend your money on this category, blow your horns. Okay. Got the message. I'm Canvas coordinator. I know what I have to do. I have to convince this congregation to give $300,000 towards our operational budget this year. The Finance Committee, I'm a member of the Finance Committee, and we add all these costs up. We add them all up, and then we count the little beans, because we're bean counters, and that brought us to our Canvas goal of $300,000. So where do you fit in? You know, I used to go on silent retreats. They had no noisemakers there. They lasted for 5 days or sometimes 10 days. I know, eh? 10 days of absolute silence. We were not even supposed to make eye contact with each other. At about day 8, in the 10-day retreats, we would have a Dharma talk about generosity, or what is referred to in the Buddhist tradition as dana, to prepare us for our decision about how much we should contribute to the monk who was leading the retreat. This money would not be given to the monk himself, of course. They take a vow of poverty. But the money would be given to support the monastery where the monk lived and did his work. There was no mention of amounts, no fair share giving guide, which is included in your Canvas package. We had to figure it out ourselves. Each individual had to figure it out with no communication with anyone else. Like, how much are you going to give? What do you think you should give? I don't know what to give. We actually had to just figure out how we should support the work, the place where the monk lived, so he could continue his very important work. What would I give? Knowing nothing. And yet, knowing everything. Knowing about the reality of living in Canada and the importance of the spreading of the teaching of the wisdom of the Buddha. When it came right down to it, what was it worth to me in the context of my own economic circumstances? And so at Canvas, every year, we have to ask ourselves, knowing what I know about economic realities, knowing what I know about the work of this church, knowing what I know about the essential message of this religious movement at this time in history, knowing all of that, what should I, as a responsible adult, commit to my church? I encourage you to review the Canvas package that each of you received by email, and then decide what it means to you to be a member, a congregant of the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton, and then pledge accordingly. There are various ways to pledge. Now, for people who are new, a pledge is, it's like an intention to donate to the church operating budget. What do I intend to do in the year of 2024? It isn't an enforceable contract. Sometimes you can make your pledge, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can exceed your pledge. That's good too. But it's important to us who have to do the work of keeping this plant running at an operational level that we have an understanding of your intentions, because that is how we set our budget. Now, we have Joanne Deere. Where is she? She's right there. Joanne Deere, Kath McIntyre, myself, and other willing hands have set up the Fellowship Hall, and we invite everyone here to come into Fellowship Hall after service to enjoy an extended coffee, which is a stone soup, which is why you all brought your vegetables and chickpeas. I understand there's a lot of chickpeas in this soup. To church today, John Green is making the soup even now as we speak for all of us to share later. When you're at the stone soup lunch, there'll be little talking cards on the table for you to consider, and one of them asks you to solve the problem of what to do if aliens invade our church. So I just want you to kind of start thinking about that in the back of your mind. And ironically, we will now accept the offering while we listen to the choir. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for your gifts this morning. Now, you all know that I believe in the restorative power of the wiggle. So I'm going to invite us to take a breath and maybe wiggle for a second. Get some energy activated, feel our fingers, stand up and wiggle if that feels good, but let's wiggle a little bit. The restorative power of the wiggle. So, when Elizabeth shared this year's Canvas theme with me, this image came to mind. It's going to pop up here any second. It's going to happen, I know. I know the image is going to pop up here any second. No, that's not it. Let's see what happens next. We are having soup today, which, as I shared last week, this is the first congregation where the soup was actually made during the service. So I'm excited. This is it. So when Elizabeth shared this year's Canvas theme with me, this is the image that came to my mind, an actual dinner roll. I'm a little embarrassed that my imagination is so literal, but that's what I thought about. And for a minute, I had an idea that I might Photoshop images of the church perched on top of these dinner rolls because I just couldn't shake it. It turns out I actually wasn't far off the mark, as Elizabeth imagined a theme that would playfully invite us to celebrate, create community, to break bread together, or a roll at a Stone Soup luncheon, and to reflect on the successes of the past few years. So I decided to hang on to my image of the dinner roll today. It makes me smile, and it inspired me to keep it short so we can get to the good part of our day, which is having lunch in Fellowship Hall together. It's been a remarkable 2 years. And let's pause for a second and journey down memory lane and remember 2 years ago when I first arrived. We were still on lockdown, months away from opening the building for Sunday morning services and programs. You had just said goodbye to your beloved minister of 11 years, Reverend Victoria, and just welcomed your new, unknown interim minister. It was a time of tremendous uncertainty and demands upon leadership. And yet, as you've heard me share on several occasions, you persevered with commitment, love, dedication, and action. Your vision for this community and the possibilities remained true. You welcomed a whole host of changes: interim ministry, the 8th principle, safety protocols as we carefully reopened, new programs and new technology to ensure that connection and belonging are available to everyone. You welcomed new forms of worship, celebrating multi-generational services and experimenting with the Sunday morning experience as we have today, joyfully. You said yes to new members and new ways of thinking and being in congregational life together. In saying yes to this time of change and opportunity, you were saying yes to your future, a new future unfolding before you. It is my belief that this congregation may look back upon these years following the pandemic as a period of renaissance and renewal, a time when creativity learning, commitment, and energy was alive and flourishing. A time of embodying our Unitarian Universalist values and living into the call of generosity, especially as it's detailed in the emerging Article 2 revisions of our association, which looks at generosity in this way. It says, generosity is a shared value among us. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. So, let's celebrate some of the successes of the past couple of years. And I know I'm going to miss something along the way, but I promised Elizabeth that I wouldn't exhaust my welcome up here this morning. So I am going to do my very best. And you can always let me know after service today if I miss one of those critical things, and we can weave it into a future service. First, you made a commitment to staying connected and embraced the possibilities of digital connections by Zooming together for worship and meeting online to attend to the business of the church and staying connected during times of physical distancing. You prioritize collective safety and centered the needs of the most vulnerable in our community. In the last 2 years, you have grown programming to meet the needs of the community. It was my great joy to attend the family game night this past Friday night. A community supper was followed by games and fun. And if you haven't been to one of these game nights, you're missing out. I encourage you to get to one. They're a lot of fun. But this is a new program that is bringing together community for fun in our spaces. Our chalice circles and our children and youth religious exploration programs. We have book groups, Zoomers and Boomers, visitor and congregational engagement, welcome folks on Sundays and invite people to meet and greets. We have drumming on Friday nights. We're celebrating queer joy with a monthly potluck. Our magnificent choir stirs us. And a beautiful garden. Our beautiful gardens were in the news this summer as a place of refuge and a place that is changing the landscape, literally. Our building is becoming a hub for the arts, for learning programs, for support and recovery programs that serve people across our city, across Hamilton. Our building is opening up towards the public and becoming a community center that is desperately needed by our world. A financial gift to this congregation is an act of loving relationship. It binds us together in shared commitment to this holy place as a beacon of goodness, a place to belong, a place to discover and learn who we are meant to be as a community, as individuals, trying to find our way in a world that is complicated, beautiful, and hard at times. Our social justice work continues to reach out into the world with acts of love, speaking truth to power in transformative ways. Our housing team calls us to address economic inequality and the crisis of housing in our city as a human rights issue. Eva Rothwell invites us to serve our city and our wider community as we love our neighbor, as we love ourselves. Our gender and sexual justice team continues to ignite the power of love as we proclaim that the good news that every two-spirit LGBTQAI+ person is divinely made. This year, we brought out our banner to public witness services for Noble Beckett and showed up at Hamilton Pride and on the side of love last week at Counter Protests. The Climate Action Team has pushed each of us to learn more and do more in the presence of what feels like apocalyptic change, offering us glimmers of hope. The newly appointed 8th Principal Work Group is developing avenues of connection and reciprocity with Indigenous communities, mapping educational opportunities that will continue the cultural transformation of our community, challenging us to decenter whiteness, address structural bias in ourselves and our community, and create a truly welcoming and inclusive place, a place to belong. This year, the Board of Trustees courageously approved the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion audit that will also guide us and lead us towards dismantling structural oppression as it lives in our organization. Our public witness and action makes a difference in this world. Our faith makes a difference. I can't say that enough. At the counter protest last week, there were several conversations of gratitude, folks walking up to members of our congregation, appreciating our presence there as we held a space of love and solidarity. Our faith makes a difference in the world. Finally, we have a staff that is dedicated, thoughtful, caring, and committed. Religious educator Tim Versteeg, music director Rachel Derry, choir director Cindy Carey, support services manager Chris McCoy, and our bookkeeper Chris Adams keep our community going. They are the engine of our program and operations here. We are so lucky. You are so very lucky. Your pledge is an invitation to belong to a community that is committed to nourishing the heart of love among us. A pledge, any pledge, is a gesture of commitment, generosity, and care, and it is a gift to the future, that future you've been waiting for. There is much to celebrate among us. This congregation is on a roll, and the momentum is strong and powerful. The future is waiting for you. The future needs you. The future needs Unitarian Universalism. So as you discover the gift that is right for you, I invite you to consider exactly what Elizabeth shared. What does this place mean for you? What does Unitarian Universalism mean to you? What does the hope and love that you feel here inspire you to give? We are grateful for every gift, for your time, your talents, and your treasure. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be. I invite you to rise for our final hymn, 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start that again so we get the words. We can't start that one we excited?
Yes.
Here we go.
From the light of days remembered, moons a beacon bright and clear. God causes spirits to face and free to fear. The fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze. And the hunger and the passion meet to call us on our way. Assurance of the flame that burns within, and our promise of fulfillment, and our future can begin. The stories of our living brings a song both great and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. The fire of commitment sets our mind and soul at ease, and our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way. We live with assurance of the flame that burns within, and our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can begin. Dreams of youthful vision from the new emphatic voice, wishing ends of deeper justice, and thy honor reigns joys. The fire of commitment sets our mind and soul at ease, and our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way. When we live with assurance of the flame that burns within, and our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can
Let's hear those horns one more time. I love it. That is the joyful noise of beloved community, for sure. Go, beloveds, nourished and spirit and eager to break bread, knowing you are a part of a community of purpose, love, joyous, meaning-making, and justice that reaches out into the world. May the love we hold here inspire you on your path and take it with you as you change the world. May it be so. And we have lunch now after our postlude, which is good.
All right, into Fellowship Hall for Stone Soup. You're all welcome. John's worked hard.